And I'll ask one first for Ron, since he's not here, but I spoke with him earlier. On page 7, the last sentence of the last paragraph reads...
What are you reading from?
I'm reading from the staff report, but it basically just says, E&B would continue to hold the 35-year lease, which could not be exercised absent future adoption of a ballot measure by the electorate lifting the ban on oil. Ron's question, and for clarification for all of us, E&B will have the lease on the property regardless of the outcome of the election?
Yes.
Even though in that case, the city would be... You tell me what that means, or Tom, what, for Ron's sake and for everyone else that's listening, what would that mean then?
Sure. You have to remember, this lease was entered into in 1992 at a very different point in history. And at that time, the parties who prepared that lease and who wrote that lease weren't contemplating that we would be here where we are today. To the extent they did contemplate that, they believed that once the lease was executed, that they would not be subject to a ballot measure, for example, or a change in the law that would prohibit the oil project from going forward. So that issue was not addressed in the lease, nor is there a provision in the lease that calls for termination of the lease unilaterally by the city. Consequently, absent a terminating event that's provided for in the lease document itself, the lease simply continues to exist. I know that that is an unsatisfactory and troubling sort of idea that it could exist in perpetuity. But as long as the city code prohibits oil drilling, that in effect is tantamount to a force majeure event under the lease, meaning that it's an event outside the control of whoever holds the rights to that lease that prevents them from going forward and exercising their rights, meaning that it tolls the lease. And so until and unless someone comes up with a more clever legal theory, that would be the answer, that it just is there. So in response to the questions that have arisen, does that mean that in 30 years there could be a measure that removes the ban on oil drilling and allows a project to go forward? I suppose so. That would require compliance with CEQA, and it would require a ballot measure.
And you said in 30 years, but could it be in 5 years, and in 10 years, and in 15, and in 20, and 25, I guess is what...
And in 100, yes.
Okay.
Right.
All right, second question.